sa bukod, di na ba nakasalanan ng dito?
Media educators and learners called to defend press freedom.
Sa bukod, di na ba nakasalanan ng dito?
Media educators and learners called to defend press freedom.
Good evening. You're watching News Cafe on the Solar News Channel. I'm Mitzi Borromeo. For the whole month of March, we will be featuring women who have inspired and made a difference in Philippine society and culture to give tribute to their unparalleled achievements in our celebration of Women's Month. Tonight, we have with us the country's first Prima Ballerina. She is also the Artistic Director of Ballet Manila and Directress of Ballet Manila School. We welcome tonight Liza Macuja-Elizalde. Good evening, Liza.
Good evening, Mitzi.
Pleasure to have you here. Now, you're retired. You just retired last December after your Swan Song series, but you're not leaving us just yet. You're not leaving the stage, are you?
No.
What is it like now? You're still very busy.
I am still very busy, but I've retired from the full-length ballet productions.
Yes.
I still do guest appearances in ballet concerts and special events. I'm still dancing.
Yeah. In fact, it was a very busy time for you the past few weeks, no?
Yes, 2 weeks ago, we finished the 18th season of Ballet Manila with Heart to Heart, Ballet and Ballads. And yeah, it was 9 performances.
Wow, that's definitely not retirement.
No.
You're busier now.
No.
Interesting, you performed with your sister, who sings and is also
I performed with the West End Mamas and Papas.
Yes.
My sister is a musical actress
Yes.
based in London, and she has a group called the West End Mamas, who also have their papas with her. It's a trio, and they have 2 singing husbands and 1 violinist husband. That's the violinist is the husband of my sister.
Yeah.
So we had a whole menage of song, music, and ballet.
Well, this is what you call spot performance, right? You now do spot performances,
Yes.
so not full performances, just certain aspects of a concert. Yeah. Well, we'll be talking more about your retirement later, but for now, I'd like to ask about how it was growing up to become a ballerina. Well, your family was always into the arts. How was it? Were your parents influential in getting you to ballet?
Yeah, well, my mom, of course, brought me to my first ballet class. I was almost 9 years old, quite late to start ballet now, if you think about it. But she did ballet before, from the age of 6 until the age of 13. And then she had to stop because there was a papal nuncio ban on ballet. And so her dreams of becoming a ballerina were crushed by that ballet ban in the 1950s.
Yeah.
So when she had me, I was her first daughter, and she would show me pictures of herself dancing, and she saw that I had her flexibility, and I sort of wanted to take up ballet.
Yeah.
But I really didn't take it seriously until the age of 14. My dad naman sings, and my mom actually sings as well. So we grew up really doing a lot of productions, family productions in the parties then. Yeah.
So very much into you're exposed to music, books, movies.
We were enrolled in piano lessons. You know, we were brought to the theater to watch performances, whether it was live theater or dance. Or, so it was growing up really immersed in listening to music, classical music, in my grandparents' house also at that time, and dancing and singing, performing.
And your siblings also got into the arts. Some were musicians as well as actors or actresses, right?
That's right. All of us, all 4.
Yeah. Now, apart from, well, despite all these activities you're doing, you always were an honor student consistently.
Yeah.
How is it like, you know, balancing your scholastic life, your you know, the academic world with your dancing?
It was hard. It was, you know, going to school at 7 in the morning, coming back, going back to after school, going to ballet at around 5, and then rehearsing until 9, and then studying for exams or doing homework papers until the wee hours of the morning, usually cramming, and then going to school the next day. And of course, weekends were spent mostly in the ballet studio.
Yeah. So the journey to becoming a prima ballerina was not easy, huh?
Yeah, it's not easy. It continues not to be easy.
Yes, yes. But at least you did not neglect your studies, huh? You really kept up with it.
Well, that was my deal with my parents. My parents said that once the grades suffer, then the ballet will have to go. Because my parents, of course, really wanted me to have a good education.
Yeah, very important.
You know, good qualifications for, well, what they thought at that time was a real job in the future.
Yeah. And you did take up business, right?
Yes,
you did for some
business management.
Your degrees, yes. So you have a
eventually I did get the degree, but it took me a longer time.
Because of your prima ballerina journey.
Yeah.
Well, you also had quite an education in life when you went to Russia. You were in Russia during the Cold War.
Yes.
Tell us about that experience. How you got there.
I left for Russia in 1982. I had just graduated from St. Teresa's College in Quezon City. So you can imagine, from a very sheltered life in a convent school exclusively for girls, my world was like home, ballet, and school. You know, it was like that. And then I was suddenly plunged into this new culture, communism.
Wow. Yeah.
It was winter in St. Petersburg when I arrived. The first snow fell, in fact.
Wow.
I did not really speak Russian at all. I had lessons before I left for Russia in 1982, but it doesn't prepare you for everyone just speaking rapid
Major
Russian.
Culture shock.
And then, of course, the dormitory, we were like 16 girls all sharing 4 rooms with one kitchen, one bathroom, one toilet. It was a major culture shock. Plus the fact that, it's a new society, so it was a different way of life. We were lining up for groceries. Shopping was not that easy at that time. Cooking for yourself, cleaning, and of course attending all your classes. I was in school from 9 in the morning till 9 at night.
Wow.
It was really, I think the first year in Russia was for me the toughest year of my life.
And imagine that, the communication then, it was snail mail, having to make calls to your family.
Yes, there was no emails,
no
no Skype.
I read that when your dad went to visit you, he cried because he saw the situation you were living in.
I had a bed, I had a closet, and that was it.
And now you speak fluent Russian.
Yes.
But at the time you were the only Asian, no? So what was it like becoming prima ballerina in that kind of environment?
Oh, I wasn't prima ballerina yet at that time, but when I did my first performance in Russia, I remember the Russian press calling me, the first prima ballerina of the Philippines, or the future prima ballerina of the Philippines, and announcing in the headline, the Russian ballet school has produced the future prima ballerina of the Philippines. But at that time, I just really, really loved to dance, and I loved to dance the classics. And so my dream role at the time was Kitri in Don Quixote, and I was watching the Mariinsky Ballet almost every week. We had free student passes. I was immersed in that 250-year-old Russian tradition of passing down the classical ballet art to the next generation of dancers, and I graduated from the Leningrad Choreographic School in 1984, and then was invited to perform and work with the Mariinsky Ballet, the Kirov Ballet at that time. But also at the time, it was a period of transition in Russia because
you were the first foreign soloist to join
yes,
that ballet.
I was. And then what happened was there was the change, perestroika happened. 1982 to 1986 was the time that Brezhnev passed away, Andropov, Chernenko, and then Gorbachev took over. So it was really
what a time. Were you aware then? I mean, at that age, were you aware of this milieu you were in, no? What was it like? All these political and economic changes going on around you?
Of course, you cannot help but not be aware of everything that was happening. I mean, I had made a lot of friends already in the Russian ballet school and in the community in general. I was dreaming in Russian, so I was like, it's like a second home to me. Up to today, it continues to be a second home.
Yeah, that's part of who you are,
yes,
isn't it?
It is.
So of course you returned shortly after that. It was 1986 that you returned, and that's
there was a blip though. I thought that I would be proceeding to London from Leningrad.
Yes,
but then
that was one of your first heartbreaks.
It didn't happen.
Yes, you were invited to join the what was it called?
The Sadler's Wells Royal Ballet.
So what happened? Why couldn't you do it?
Well, the equity would not give me a working permit or work visa, and Sadler's Wells could not prove that no other British citizen could do my job.
Yes.
And they wanted me to study for 6 more months in the Royal Ballet School so that I would graduate with a diploma from the Royal Ballet School, or marry a British citizen, which
at
at the time was just that's impossible.
Not that desperate.
Yeah. Plus, I had already worked for 2 seasons in the Mariinsky Ballet, so the thought of going back to school just did not sit well with me.
So the next best thing, that's when you decided, I'm going to go back to the Philippines.
I went back to the Philippines. Actually, at that time, I thought that it would just be a pit stop. I would do my homecoming performance, and I was offered to become the first artist in residence of the CCP for a year. Yeah. And so I was able to dance with both Ballet Philippines, and when they formed Philippine Ballet Theater, I also performed with Philippine Ballet Theater. Yeah. And then it just blossomed into a career where I was based at home, based in Manila, and then I was receiving invitations to perform abroad in Russia, in New Zealand, in
you went to
Singapore,
all continents. I heard it was like 81 countries.
The United States.
Amazing.
So I had the best of both worlds. Really, I was home with my family, and I was dancing both all around the Philippines and abroad.
Yeah, and eventually you put up your own ballet company. Was it in 1995?
Yes, in 1995, I put up Ballet Manila.
So you put this up with another ballet master, Osias Barroso.
Osias Barroso.
Osias, sorry, I said it wrong. Osias. And at the time, ballet was just coming up. What was it like then, at the time?
Well, there were birthing pains, of course. Ballet Manila, I'd like to think of in 2 periods. The first is the first 2 years of Ballet Manila, which I call BF, or Before Fred, and Ballet Manila AF, After Fred. Okay. Ballet Manila Before Fred, of course, we were a struggling company of 12 dancers, an artistic director. We had no home studio, we had no home theaters, we were touring. We were mainly a touring company. Yeah. And I was doing everything from the dancing to the teaching, to even the music editing, press releases, sponsor hunting, all the letters of communication. I was even doing the layouts of our programs, everything.
One-woman band.
Yeah, it was a one-woman show for that period. And then after Fred, of course, he built us a studio, and he built me 2 theaters to call my own. Wow. And then it's now expanded to 3 studios, and it's really, and as a performance season. And we just 2 weeks ago we finished our 18th season of Ballet Manila. So now we're 65 dancers, and we average around 200 performances a year, and we've toured internationally, and just keep on dancing. The next generation. My own daughter is now a company member of Ballet Manila.
Well, definitely we'll be talking more in detail about Ballet Manila later. For now, I'd like to talk to you about your journey to becoming a media personality. That was in 2007. You started hosting a radio show called Art to Art. How did that come about?
Well, actually, becoming a media personality, I think, started when I did my first endorsements. You know, I started to, well, I had a column in Malaya, a weekly column called On Points. And then I was doing endorsements. I was dancing for certain causes. So I was doing guest appearances. And then eventually, when I decided to be full-time, of course I was a full-time mom, and and then I was dancing, and then I was directing and performing, and eventually what happened was I thought, okay, let's take it one step further, and Art to Art was conceptualized and began as a radio show, and it became a tele-radio show, 30 minutes every Sunday on DZRH and RHTV. And so I tape once a month, and so I host my own program where it's an artist talking to another artist.
And this month you turned 7. Congratulations.
Yes, 7 years.
It's your 7th birthday. So lots to celebrate. Well, we'll talk more about that later on. For now, we just need to take a short break. When we return, we will learn more about Liza Macuja-Elizalde, so stay tuned. You're still watching News Cafe on the Solar News Channel, and still with us is Liza Macuja-Elizalde. All right, Lisa, we were just talking about Art to Art. Now, what was the initial goal for this? Did you want to bring art more to the masses?
Yes, I wanted to basically show from all forms of the art, the more human side of the art, you know, the person behind the artist.
Yes, yes. Because people often think that arts like ballet, many of these are for the elite. What do you have to say about that? Do you think that it's not something that the masses would really resonate with?
Yeah, it's a misnomer because, you know, definitely the arts, the patrons of the arts really are the rich, you know, families. I mean, even if we trace back the history of ballet, for example, the Medici family of Italy began ballet as a court dance and then eventually brought it to France. And it was in France that the first ballet school was formed, you know. So really the patrons of the art are the rich, and they support and make it possible for great artists to thrive. And I don't deny that Fred, my husband, is the greatest patron of Ballet Manila, and his support has definitely enabled my own career to be as long as it is at the moment.
Well, since you brought up Fred, that's another thing I want to ask you about. You have a website, lisamacuja.com, where you often, it's almost, there's a section that's like a journal. And you talked about your real life pas de deux. And this is your true love, Fred Elizalde. So when you met him, that was quite a whirlwind romance, wasn't it?
It was very fast, but I had known him as my Tito Fred before, because he and his wife Joan and his daughter Thalassa, Sasha, would watch my performances all the time. And then Joan passed away in 1996, and he started courting me, and so at first I was going, Tito Fred, and he was going, stop calling me Tito Fred, this is a date. I'm like, weird. Oh, this is a date, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
But you got along so well.
We got along really well, despite, it's a May-December thing. I mean, he is 24 years older than me. But, you know, he was a gentleman, he was of the old school, he was extremely intelligent and an artist, you know. So it was a meeting of artistic minds and souls.
Well, in your journal, so on your website, you said, for a ballerina whose roles always found her longing for a dashing prince to carry her away, it was magical to finally meet someone who instinctively knew how to sweep me off my feet. Totally swept you off your feet, huh?
He did. Fred liked doing things in large proportions. He would decorate our living room in Quezon City with roses. At one point, I think there were like more than 1,000 blooms. Wow. He would say, let's have dinner, let's go on a date, pick a city, any city in the world. You know, it was
it's like a dream, fantasy.
He really knew how to sweep a woman off her feet.
But there was never any talk about, were you worried that you might have to stop your dancing?
No, in fact, that was the first thing he said, is he said, please tell your parents my intentions are honorable and I don't intend for you to stop dancing. Yes. In fact, I want you to continue, and I will help you.
Yes. And then he became such a big parent. So for your birthdays, he built for you these two theaters, the Star and Aliw Theater.
Star Theater first. Yeah. He converted that from the simulator that had 35 seats in Star City. He made that into an 850-seater called Star Theater. That was in the year 2001 for my birthday in October. And then a year later, he gave me Aliw Theater, which seats 2,800.
Wow. What a birthday gift. It's hard
and
to
last year, we equipped Aliw Theater with the largest orchestra pit in the country.
Amazing. So what he has done really for arts and culture here. What a great combination you both. He's also an artist. He likes to paint. Your home now is surrounded up to the
paintings,
ceiling.
Yes, he would in fact help my company with designs for the stage, and he designed, for example, the sets of Romeo and Juliet when we did Romeo and Juliet in the Cultural Center of the Philippines in the year 2001 also, and then he composed the music of several of our Circus de Ballet productions. Wow. In fact, he was co-directing our Circus de Ballet productions, which really helped popularize ballet, because that was like combining circus and singing and dancing and classical ballet in one 30-minute show that brought really droves of people into Star City.
And all kinds of generations. This is not just for the old, I'm sure this attracted the young.
Yes, yes. It was an ongoing production for 6 years, in fact. Yeah.
You also did a coffee table book together,
yes,
Marriage of the
Marriage
Arts.
of the Arts.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is it like working with your husband? I mean, something you're together every day, or I mean, what was it difficult at times?
Yeah, of course it's difficult, especially when he says no.
That's the hardest part. Yeah. Did it cause a lot of maybe friction at home too?
It's no obstacle that was too you know, difficult to hurdle together. Really. Yeah. Sometimes we just agree to disagree. And leave it at that. But
and you both really love reading, so you share this passion. Before you go to bed, you say you always read or something. Or you discuss these. You love philosophy also. So quite
psychology.
So you're constantly growing and learning together.
Oh yes,
that's how you keep the love alive.
Yeah,
huh?
definitely.
Still so in love after all these years. Now let's go back again to the origins of Ballet Manila. You were only 70. How many dancers was it at the time?
12.
12 dancers at the time, right? This was a small studio housed in Quezon City. Yeah. And now you're in.
No, we were jumping from studio to studio. We were given studio space in the Halili Cruz Ballet Studio, and then we had studio space in the Vela Damian studio in Mayon Street in Quezon City, and we were renting studio space as well. It was difficult. The office of Ballet Manila was in our house in Quezon City before I was married, and we in fact made a little studio on our Quezon City porch where 6 members could dance at one time. So we had class in first batch of 6, and then the second batch of 6.
Wow, that's really.
So it was really it was hard.
But great for training and discipline, huh? To have to deal with this. And of course, with Fred Elizalde's help, this is when you were able to put together.
Well, we first, of course, we were able to open more classes in our school, in the Ballet Manila school. and in return also give a lot of scholarships. So we train the future generation of dancers that are now professional dancers in Ballet Manila. And some of our founding members have enjoyed ballet careers abroad, and some are now retired. But you know, it continues to produce. The school continues to produce dancers that eventually fill up the company, and we now are the largest ballet company in the Philippines with more than 60 dancers.
Imagine, from 12, huh? Yeah. For you, what have been the most memorable performances for Ballet Manila?
Okay. Ballet Manila, I think the most memorable would be our Filipino productions, where from the music to the libretto to the choreography are all Filipino. We did Tatlong Kwento ni Lola Bashang.
Yes,
the three stories based on the Severino Reyes's mga kwento ni Lola Bashang. Then we did Alamat, Sisibol at Sigunaw. And we also did several other smaller Filipino productions like Kutitap. And recently, Tatlo Pang Kwento ni Lola Bashang. So 3 more stories.
Well, what has the response of Filipinos been to that? And at the same vein, what do you think the current standing is of the Philippine ballet now?
You know, there is an audience for Philippine ballet. In fact, I feel that we have a very discerning and educated audience now. You know, before, when I used to dance at 17 in, for example, concert at the park, I would bring my leg up and the audience would start screaming and, you know, hooting and howling, and, you know, there was like, oh, I see, you know, I see leg. And now when I perform, for example, I perform Swan Lake in Aliw Theater, and the audience is from all walks of life and not necessarily the bejeweled and bedecked crowd. This is the chinelas, sando, shorts and slippers crowd. And they love it. They love the show, and they're quiet, and they clap at the right time.
They know how to appreciate
and they know how to appreciate it, and they understand what's going on stage. And I feel that the popularizing of the art and bringing the ballet to the people and people to the ballet by performing in non-traditional venues, you know, going to the provinces, going to the school gyms. You know, I do lecture demonstrations. I do ballet and ballads concerts where we combine ballet with original Filipino music and a live singer, or ballet and a band, you know, or...
is it true you've performed in a even in a cockpit in basketball court?
Yes, I've performed in... I've performed everywhere. In fact, on top of soft drink cases that were nailed together and then plywood on top in Zamboanga. We did that as well. We've performed on the streets. We've performed in, you know, in all sorts of settings, in little towns in Mindanao where the frogs or the cats or the bats would make guest appearances during our performance.
Natural props, huh? So this is all part of your mantra, bringing ballet to the people and people to the ballet. So you feel you've really accomplished your mission?
Yeah, well, we're doing our best. And I think the track record of Ballet Manila with more than 200 performances a year, and the free performances that we have in Star City, and the regular touring that we do all over the country, we are slowly accomplishing this. And it is not work that stops, you know, overnight with one performance. It has to be continuous, because, you know, I get audiences who come up to me and say, I watched you when I was in grade school, and now this is my daughter, I want her to become a ballerina. And I'm like, oh gosh, that makes me feel so old, but yeah, thank you so much.
So was it like you also give talks in lecture demos and talks in malls? Recently you did
malls,
one at SM
we did one in SM Aura recently,
What is it like when you're speaking there? I mean, what is the reaction of the people?
Well, I try to gauge the audience. Of course, there is always the I try to hook them in by making them actually try to turn out and dance and do a basic fifth position of classical ballet, where you have to rotate the legs in the hip socket 90 degrees to the right, 90 degrees to the left. That's 180-degree turnout that a ballet dancer has to achieve by, you know, practice, rehearsing, and exercises. You know, and so once you ask them to try and do that, and then they immediately appreciate the hard work that goes behind a ballet performance, why ballet dancers are often called performing athletes, and how difficult it is because as ballet dancers, as artists, we're not supposed to show the audience that it's difficult.
Make it look so easy.
We have to make it look easy. We have to look light, and all the dancing has to look effortless.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's where all the effort is needed.
So they then develop a better appreciation of this.
That's
when you go to schools, what is it that you try to really stress to the young students?
How to appreciate a ballet performance. And of course, I try to answer all their questions. And I try to show how there are different kinds of ballet. There's the classical, neoclassical, contemporary, modern, and Filipino. And I try to just open their minds up to the world of the theater, the performing arts, and strictly speaking, classical ballet in general.
And it's great, you have something called Project Ballet Futures, which is a scholarship program for underprivileged children. Tell us more about that.
Well, Project Ballet Futures became my formal scholarship program in 2008. But I had scholars before, even when I had not yet even formed Ballet Manila. I was already teaching. In fact, my first student was the son of my manicurista. Really? And our boy in Quezon City, our errand boy in Quezon City. So I just felt that there was a need to train male ballet dancers because there was a demand for this. And I realized that I could train male dancers to become professional dancers and be able to earn a living from their dancing. And then I realized that because of this male ballet scholarship that I was doing, I now have more males than females in Ballet Manila.
Really?
So in 2008, I decided to go out and give scholarships to female dancers as well. But with the female dancers, you have to start a lot earlier. You have to give the scholarship at the age of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So Project Ballet Futures was formed. It was by audition only. I first partnered with Philippine Christian Foundation Incorporated. It's a school in Tondo. I went to the school. I looked at several girls and boys, and I offered scholarships to, I think, around 40 ballet students.
What is your criteria? How do you choose them?
Well, we look for bodies. So flexibility, line, and coordination, musicality, and of course, after at least 2 years of daily training, you can already see the potential of the child. And yes, there are children who drop out of the program. In fact, our dropout rate is quite high because it is very, very difficult work.
And what's wonderful about this, beyond the training, you support them also through meals.
Well, that's very important because for a ballet dancer, their bodies are their instrument. And so that body has to be strong and that body has to be nourished and well taken care of.
And one of the famous scholars we've been seeing is Jessa. Well, she came out on CNN too.
Yes,
and you danced with her in one of your last performances, right?
Yes, Nutcracker. We did Nutcracker together.
Well, we'll be talking more about some of your other performances, but again, we will take another short break. When we return, we will know more about Liza Macuja-Elizalde, her advocacies as a woman and as a mother. Welcome back to News Cafe on the Solar News Channel, and we're with Liza Macuja-Elizalde. Now, Liza, in 2012, Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago filed a resolution where she was pushing for you to be a national artist for dance. What did you think about that, given the controversy also surrounding the national artist?
Yes. Well, there is a process to follow. Yes. Being nominated through a Senate resolution is, of course, a first for any artist in the Philippines to be nominated for a national artist, for the National Artist Award. But the award itself is quite controversial, and it goes through a very intense selection process.
Right.
And, you know, there's a lot of lobbying involved. But when a senator like Senator Miriam nominates you and you get a Senate resolution signed by Senator Juan Ponce Enrile saying that you have been nominated by the Senate for National Artist Award for dance. It is, of course, extremely flattering and it's a great honor. But there is a process, so we just follow the process.
Yeah. Oh, I'd like to read what she said about you because it speaks volumes of what you've done for the country. Liza is hailed as the ballerina of the Filipino people. No Filipino ballerina has yet surpassed the recognition and pride that you have brought to the Philippines. She is the embodiment of talent, creativity, and imagination, technical proficiency of the highest order, grace and humanity that makes her worthy of the title of national artist. So you have contributed so much to arts and culture in the Philippines.
Well, the greatest compliment really that Senator Miriam did for me was actually come and attend and watch my performances. For me, that's the that's when somebody sits down, buys your ticket, and watches your performance. It's just something that already shows that support and goodwill for Filipino artists.
On your website, in fact, on the homepage, it says there prominently that the audience is very important to a performance.
It is. It's the lifeblood of any performance, really. I mean, we train for 6 to 8 hours a day, every day, to be able to perform and dance for an audience, not to be able to dance really inside a box.
True, that's true. Well, what has been your favorite performance so far in almost 50 years of being of life?
You know, when I was younger, my favorite role to perform was Kitri in Don Quixote because there's a lot of technique there, speed, jumping, turning. I could show off my technique and my strength really well. And it's a very happy ballet as well, very me. But now, as I, retire, I really love the sensitive, dramatic roles like Giselle, Juliet in Romeo and Juliet, and Nikia in La Bayadere.
Yes.
Those are really what I love to dance.
Well, you said, though, your best role ever has been Motherhood. Hasn't it, right? Motherhood, that's off the stage, well, on and off stage. And you've performed with your daughter, Missy.
Yes.
So what has it been like? Because it's you called it quite a cycle because in, what year was that? 1982, you performed The Nutcracker in Russia. And then eventually, first as a snowflake, eventually Masha, and then you saw your daughter performing it. What is that like, watching her sort of...
It's one of my life's full circles, really. Just recently, I taught her a pas de deux that I danced in my graduation from the Russian Ballet Academy. And it was a pas de deux, the Harlequinade pas de deux, and I watched her dancing it, and I danced it when I was 19, and she was dancing it at 15. So I was really proud of her because she started quite later. She started at the age of 11, and she was inspired by my own 25th anniversary. And she saw videos and photos of me dancing as a little kid, and so she said, Mama, I want to try that too. And now at 15, she's dancing. She's juggling school and ballet at the same time. She's a little mini-me.
Yes.
And she's extremely ambitious. She's extremely determined, very stubborn. I wonder who she takes after.
Sounds familiar.
Yes, sounds very familiar.
Do you think she can make it as a prima ballerina? This is what it takes, isn't it?
As long as she really wants it for herself.
Yeah.
I hope so, and I hope to be able to help her in that direction and be able to teach her what what I've experienced.
Yeah. Well, what do you think being your performance now? In your some reviews mentioned how different it is being a mature ballerina. Your performance now compared to when you were younger, it's more heartfelt. What is the difference?
Because every performance now could be my last. So I want to give my all on stage. And of course, my leg is lower. Of course, the turns may be a little slower. Right. And of course, the jumps may be not as rapid or not as high. But I like to think that I'm keeping the lightness, the effortlessness of the art, and of course the drama and the emotion gained from more than 40 years of ballet experience and training.
Yeah. Well, off stage, you've done a lot. We've spoken about your advocacies earlier, but you were also very much involved in UNESCO. You were the vice chairman of the Philippine UNESCO National Commission, and you're still active in the cultural
cultural committee, yes.
Yeah. And you also were the commissioner of the National Commission on the role of Filipino women.
That's right.
So what were you doing exactly? What were some of the projects that you were involved in?
Well, mainly I was able to host different festivals for UNESCO so that we could be able to have cultural exchanges.
Yes.
So my ballet company would perform in all over Southeast Asia, participate in festivals, and then we would host exchange programs also in Aleo and Star Theater.
Right. You're also very much, you're quite involved with a lot of social media. How do you think social media is promoting ballet and the arts and even your advocacies?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you have immediate feedback.
Yeah.
There's, it's a communication tool, really. You can, you can say, hey, I have a show, come and watch. Yeah. Or you can discuss all sorts of things on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, and really, it's just a communication tool.
Yes.
And it shows also what the audience likes, what the audience prefers. And as artistic director, I actually use this kind of feedback to promote and to complement and plan my season.
Yes. Yeah. So we might be seeing you more active on that as you retire.
Yeah, it's a direct link to the audience, really. True. And before, the audience would just give you your feedback after the performance, maybe, and through, you know, applause and things like that. But now with social media, YouTube.
Yes, I mean, watch you over and over.
Yeah, and you know, for example, our YouTube videos have resulted in invitations for Ballet Manila or myself to perform in performances abroad, and it's just again, it's a link to a global audience.
Yes. Well, this year, in October, you'll be celebrating your 5th decade, isn't it? Now, what is it like, semi-retired? I can't say you're exactly retired. What has been keeping you busy, and what might you be looking forward to this 5th decade of your life?
Well, I'm looking forward to teaching a lot more. I'm looking forward to expanding my school, the Ballet Manila School. And I am looking forward to a wonderful birthday celebration. I believe in creating memories. More. So celebrating my birthday with a special birthday concert.
Wow, so we better start saving
October
up for that.
4.
You have a date already, so big plans
October
for your birthday.
4, Saturday night.
Quite a lot to look back on. And
one night only.
Yes, so we'll keep that in mind. What does it feel like being such an inspiration to women, not even just women, but you know, all over the country and the world even? How do you feel?
Well, it's a big responsibility.
It is.
And it makes me extremely nervous before every performance because a lot is expected from you. And I think the nerves are great because I think it's good to be a little nervous, because if you're not nervous at all, that's the most dead performance you can give. Is if you're not excited or nervous at all before a performance. And it's a huge pleasure also to be able to go out on stage and be recognized and be appreciated up to now after more than 30 years of dancing. It's really it continues to be a present.
Right. And you're still there's still a lot that you want to do, huh? So even though you're retired, you said that your schedule is even getting busier now.
Oh yes, because I try to, of course, accept a lot of invitations to talk. I mean, in schools and you know, inspire and direct and teach really and choreograph as well, conceptualize. I want to continue to bring ballet to the people and
giving
people to the
back
ballet.
Through ballet, yes. Writing is also a form of catharsis, I guess, for you. You might be going back to writing.
I hope so,
You might be seeing another column maybe in the future.
Maybe, yes. Also, maybe some articles and and my websites, of course.
So right now, what inspires you, or who have been your biggest inspiration? What inspires you as you go along this journey?
Oh, my inspiration continues to be my family and my company.
Yeah. Interestingly, your parents started the Southeast Asian Institute for the Deaf. So you have also done a lot of work with the deaf. Is it the institute or
the Southeast Asian Institute for the Deaf? Yeah.
Yes.
They because my grandparents were both deaf.
So this is why your mother was very active in
Yes,
that. Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. So what other advocacies might be seeing you involved in?
Well, I really support a lot of scholars.
Yeah.
I am for education.
Yeah.
I want to give every Filipino child a chance to have a great education, not just ballet, but
Well, finally, in that, for everyone who's aspiring to be ballerina, even not the ballet, whatever it is their dream might be, having come from where Russia, this whole journey you went through, what piece of advice would you give people who are aspiring to reach that dream that seems so far away?
3, decide as early in your life what you want to pursue, what your dream is, what you want to become. And don't think in a year, think in 20 years, you know. In 30 years, what you want to achieve. Second is seek the best instruction, seek the best mentor or teacher that will be able to teach you these skills that you need for your decision. And third is, once you have the skills and once you have the teacher, work very, very hard and not be afraid of pain, sweat, tears, and
broken toes,
blisters, sprains, strains, injuries, stress fractures, and you know, and it doesn't have to be a career in the arts, but I think any dream that you have for yourself, it just needs a lot of work. Talent can only take you so far, but you know, work is what gets the results.
Exactly,
really.
And here is the prime example, our Prima Ballerina. Liza, it's been an honor and pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here and enjoy retirement.
I intend to.
We'll be seeing more of you on stage. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for tonight. I would like to thank my guest, Liza Macuja-Elizalde, for being with us tonight. Now, if you have any comments on our episode for tonight, you may share them on our Facebook and Twitter pages. Join us again next Thursday for another round of discussions here on News Cafe. I'm Mitzi Borromeo. Good night.
Sa karanasan po, hindi na ba nakasalanan ng dito?